Hi students, this is your reteach for the Colonial Representative Government Test. We're just going to be really covering 3 topics today. Your retest opportunities are listed there on the side. We look forward to seeing you guys. The first thing that we're going to recover today is how did self-government actually get to grow in the colonies? How were they able to get away with making their own governments? Even though the king was technically still in charge of them. And I want you to look on the first top left box. It says right there that it's a very far distance from England to the colonies. So the number one reason is distance. They are so far away that the king can't really do anything to stop them. Which leads us to our next point, salutary neglect. It's not that the king didn't know that they were starting to make their own forms of government. He knew, but really his main concern was, are these colonists following the big general laws of mercantilism? Am I still getting my natural resources? Am I still getting paid? And if the answer to that is yes, then the king was willing to sort of turn a blind eye and ignore the fact that some of these colonists were trying to solve their problems with their own forms of self-government. Of course, that's not going to last very long when he realizes that they're actually taking his power away from him. But the primary reason that the colonists are able to form their own forms of self-government and representative government is that the king is so far away that he's willing to allow it to some degree. The best 3 examples of colonial self-government that do form as a result of salutary neglect would be the Mayflower Compact, the Virginia House of Burgesses, and the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. They are all 3 examples of self-government because the people themselves created these things. The Mayflower Compact in 1620 was America's very first written self-government. We often see the line civil body politic pulled out of the Mayflower Compact to show us that they wanted to be civil. In other words, they wanted to be good citizens, and that they were willing to together create one body or one group politically, or a government. That's why we consider it our first self-government. The Virginia House of Burgesses, of course, was created in Virginia, and it was the very first time we see a group of representatives chosen out of the larger group to make decisions and to solve problems for the group. So we say that this is America's first representative government, or first legislative assembly. Legislative, of course, just refers to the fact that they make laws for the rest of the people. One more example of colonial self-government would be the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. This document, written by Thomas Hooker, was the very first time we see in North America, in the British colonies, a written constitution that limits the powers of that government by stating 3 separate branches will share the powers. Lastly, one more reason that the colonists were encouraged to start creating more of their own governments was that this whole period of enlightenment and the time of creating government also happened to coincide with another time period we call the First Great Awakening. This time period was actually a religious movement where preachers tried to revitalize religion and the Christian faith throughout the colonies. Church sort of shifted from this really strict, structured place like it was in England to more of a loud, raucous type of outdoor church service where preachers preached that people should be more equal and that everyone should get to participate. And the notion that people could read their own Bibles for themselves and rather than having a preacher always read it to them. The notion that they could ask questions and challenge the ideas that were put forth. So if somebody is encouraged within the church setting or the religious setting to think for themselves and to ask questions of their authority, it makes sense that that's going to spread into government and that these same people are going to think, hey, we need to be equals not only in the church, but also in our government. And that means that I should have a greater say in what happens to my government and to my country. So that wraps up our reteach. As you can see, it's all based around the notion that the colonists were creating their own governments. Please visit us for a retest session so we can get your grade higher. Good luck.